What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Tiger Tea. I'm Tyler, and today, trying something new, not new to the internet, but new to me. I'm going to be doing a tier list, alright? I've always wanted to do tier lists, and now that the wave is over, why not hop on it? um, so yeah, let's try it out. The first one I'm going to do today is going to be Spongebob SquarePants cartoon, obviously. I'm going to be doing season 1 episodes. Are we missing episode 3 beyond? But just season 1 today. Season 1, one of those things that people have very fond memories of. I do as well. SpongeBob. People have very harsh criticisms of the later SpongeBob. But let's kind of take a step back and see where it all started. Season 1, where everyone fell in love with this character in the show. So if you don't know how tier lists work, basically I have all the episodes down here, and we're just gonna kind of rank them S, A, B, C, D. I'm gonna try to do my best. I'm gonna try not to be biased, because SpongeBob, if you didn't know, favorite cartoon of all time, especially those first few seasons, just like everyone else, right? But I'm gonna try not to just put everything in S, because part of my brain could just be like, everything's incredible, S, but so maybe I'll try to be more critical of the episodes and try to space it out so there is some S, A, B, C, D, so let's just start. So there are some of these that you are going to see me look up, because while I certainly absolutely know every single episode from SpongeBob season 1, I don't always know this episode names. So we're going to look some up. So we're just going to go in order of this, I guess. But I have to look up Walking Small, because I don't remember what that is. What is Walking Small? Plankton tricks SpongeBob into becoming assertive. Oh, the assertive episode. Okay, so yeah. So Walking Small, the assertive episode. Right, because that's the one where they're at the beach and SpongeBob is like chilling, and Plankton fails in one of his schemes or whatever, and then he finds he needs someone that he can channel it through, because he realizes that, like, him being this small and whatever, like, if he can find someone that can help him, then everything will be great, and so he gets SpongeBob to do it, teaches him how to be assertive, turns into being kind of mean, and then kind of flips back around. So where do I put that? I think for now, because I might switch some stuff up, like, throughout the ranking, I'm not necessarily going to lock all these in. I think I'm going to set that as like a B episode. I think it's good. It's not one of the ones that's like super memorable in my mind. I mean, I do like the one scene where it's assertive, and that's like the 2 ice creams. And you took my ice cream, or whatever. Hey, there's my ice cream, He's like, no. He's like, let him have it. You can have it. He said, no. Actually, let him have the ice cream. Let him have it. Like, give him a piece of your mind. But I don't think it's one of those ones, while there are some good moments, I don't think it's one of those ones that's like, man, Walking Small, you gotta watch that episode. And that's probably one of the weaker ones, in my opinion. Suds. So this is the one where SpongeBob is sick, right? And not Plankton, Patrick comes over to help him with some very out of the box methods that are not scientifically proven. And the Sandy comes and is like, go to the doctor, and the doctor's actually really good, and then the doctor flips it on Patrick. This episode's pretty good. I'm gonna throw this one in A. A's not bad at all, but S tier for me are ones that I'm like, I could watch this episode anytime, any day. And Suds is just under that for me. Let's see, Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost. This is the one where they ruin his like clay molding of Squidward, and then he comes out the bathroom with like the robe and the powder, and I think he's dead. And Squidward takes advantage of that the whole episode, until SpongeBob and Patrick are too good at thinking he's dead, and they basically try to like bury him in a casket. And I think this is one where it ends where they blow a balloon or a bubble around him and they floats up. That's probably gonna get him to heaven. This is a pretty good one. This is a pretty good episode. I'm gonna say, it's on the same level as Suds. I think it probably is. I think it's probably Suds level in my opinion. I think there's more memorable moments in it than Walking Small. So yeah, yeah, that's probably what I'd say. Plankton, the introduction to Plankton, I believe. This is the one where I think this is the one where he goes into his mind, right? Into SpongeBob's mind. He like puts like the like mind control device into him, and he makes him go and steal the Krabby Patty for like the Krabby Patty. And they do the whole like testing of it, and Plankton falls in, and he realizes that he's 99% hot gas, 1% evil. So that one, that's a top tier episode in my opinion. That one might be A tier for me because I just love, or S tier. That one might be S tier for me only because I think it has everything that the A tier has so far with Suds and Friendly Ghost. However, I've always had a fondness for the Plankton episode because it's one of the few times where SpongeBob gets kind of scary. Not the SpongeBob character himself, which was also true, but it's also like it's more of a serious episode and more of like, oh no, like Plankton is like this sort of formidable foe, even though he does have his downfall. It is like an actual antagonist in the show. And he's kind of scary. Like he kind of proven to be like, again, like I feel like the Plankton character gets softened throughout the seasons, but I think especially in like seasons 1 and 2, he's seen as like he's kind of like this mad scientist type dude who doesn't really have a lot to lose, and I think the Plankton introductory is proof of that. Squeaky Boots. This was a very annoying episode. I feel like this is the one where Mr. Krabs gifts him SpongeBob boots, and they squeak like crazy, and SpongeBob loves them, and Mr. Krabs can't bring himself to tell him to not wear the boots because of like the meaning behind it. And it drives him crazy until he eventually shrinks the boots down and eats them. And Mr. Krabs is like, and SpongeBob's like, "Did you just eat my boots?" He's like, "No, why would I do that?" So this one's a good episode. I think this probably around Walking Small for me and B, only because I like the whole like kind of crazed nature that Mr. Krabs has throughout the episode because of the boots. However, I don't think there's too much more substance to it than that. So I think B is good. B's good. Neptune's spatula. This is the one where he pulls the spatula from the grease, and Neptune does not believe he's the chosen one until he sort of does, and he challenges him to a cook-off. Basically, he can destroy him in quantity, but does not destroy him in quality. A very weird thing in this episode too that I always thought was weird as a kid is when they sort of revive Patrick, and like he's on his stomach instead of his face or his head. Very strange aspect to that. We also see Tom Kenny in the episode too, when he's like taking a shower, so that's funny. For me, I'm kind of between A and B on this one. It's not an S tier episode for me. I just don't think it has that special something to it. It's probably. I mean, I'm trying to be critical because again, I don't want everything to just be S and A. I don't actually know if I'm gonna put anything in C or D. But I'm trying to be a little more critical of these. Neptune spatula. I'm probably gonna throw it in C, honestly. Yeah. I think C feels right. I think it feels right next to these other two. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 2. Shoot. I don't remember which one that is. Let's look that up real quick. Because there's so many of these, and I know like one of them is just like their introduction, and then another one is them doing the Man Ray stuff. Okay, well I need the episode. Is this the one where they just like annoy them a bunch? Convince them to fight evil again. Okay. Yeah, yeah, so that's when they find them at the retirement home and they kind of bother them, and like the whole time they're trying to get them to fight. And then they finally do. Um, well, no, that's the first episode, so let's do that one first then. That one, pretty classic episode. Um, Although I think there's other installments of the Mermaid and Barnacle Boy series that I think do it better. So I think I'll throw that in A. I think it deserves to be A because it's an incredible episode. But like I said, I can't put it in S because again I think Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 2 might actually be the better version, or like the better episode. So let's go to 2 and just double check. 'Cause I think this is the one, the Man Ray episode. And if so, it's definitely S tier. Oh no, this is the Conch episode. Shoot, so the Man Ray episode might be episode 3. The Conch one. I'm still sticking by A tier though. So the Conch episode, I don't think it's as good as the first installment. So I think I'm probably gonna throw that in C or B. Sorry, in B. Yeah, because that was the episode where he won the magic conch, and whenever he blows it, Mermaid and Barnacle Boy can hear it, and they go and help him, and they kind of annoy them a little bit because he's kind of doing some like mundane tasks. Um, but it's still a solid episode though. Um, I just don't think it's as strong as the first installment, which is them discovering them and like going to their retirement home and like kind of messing with them and like painting the invisible boatmobile, and they're like, it's supposed to be invisible. Why would you paint it? That's the whole point. But yeah, Rock Bottom, gonna have to instantly put Rock Bottom into S tier, because that's the one where they get thrown to rock bottom, all the weird creatures, the weird like buildings, and waiting in line for a whole lot of time. The whole scene with him trying to get the candy bar out of the thing, and like every time he touches it, the engine revs on the bus. Good, classic episode right there. That's definitely S tier. Can watch that anytime. Also, a little bit of the creepiness factor too, which I'm seeing is a thread in the S tier for me, which is like it's a little bit weird, it's a little bit out there. Fun. I think Fun is also S tier. So Fun is the episode where he starts hanging out with Plankton, teaches him what it means to have fun, what it's like to be friends. And for me, I think what puts this over the A tier is that it's something you don't quite expect, for him to befriend Plankton and for it to kind of work. Like I think, especially in the beginning, where like, oh, Plankton's gonna double cross him, right? Instantly gonna double cross him, but he doesn't. And then opportunity after opportunity after opportunity arises, and he still doesn't do anything. Like when they're in the scene where SpongeBob and Plankton walk into the Krusty Krab, and Mr. Krabs is kind of freaking out, and he's just like, no, he's gonna betray you, SpongeBob. Trust me. And so they have Plankton sit by himself, and Mr. Krabs gives him a Krabby Patty. Or no, he asks him if he wants anything to eat first, and Plankton is like, no, I think I'm gonna save it for popcorn at the movies with SpongeBob. Don't want to fill myself up, and so that's like, got him. And so then he's like, oh, I'm gonna bring, and he brings something. He brings over a Krabby Patty. And then he pushes it closer to Plankton. Nothing. Still nothing. Has a fan blowing the scent of the Krabby Patty into Plankton's face. Still nothing. And so then SpongeBob gets upset and he's like, enough of your games. We're just going to go to the movie theater. So it's like right there. It's like over and over and over again. Plankton does eventually betray him, though. He does take the thing. So Mr. Krabs is right. But I do like the journey to travel, where it's like in Plankton we learn what he wants. And like who he is, and he's kind of seen as evil dude, kind of an evil dude, right? Like even though it's something as small as like trying to get a Krabby Patty to steal the formula, in the in the world of SpongeBob, that is kind of an evil thing to do. Like you are a criminal in the eyes of Bikini Bottom, So for it to kind of twist that on its head in Fun it's fun. Tea at the Tree Dome. Is this the one where he loses the water? He's like, I need it. That, oh, that's tough. That's tough, man. That's a pretty classic episode too. Oh, that's tough, man. That's, mm, because it is good. The going over there, making friends with Sandy, hanging out. I think that's the introduction of Sandy, isn't it? When they see him fighting, and then Patrick kind of like coaching him was also a good moment. Um, and the whole time kind of getting dragged around the place. Oh, it's good, man. It's good. But I think if I'm questioning it, I don't think I can put it in S tier. So I'm gonna throw it in A tier, not C tier. A tier, I think is good. Home Sweet Pineapple. That's the one with the nematodes that just destroy his home, and he seemingly is gonna have to leave. I think he tries to room in with people. Squidward obviously says no. I think Patrick's doesn't really work right because it's just a rock. Um, and Patrick also just destroys SpongeBob in his sleep apparently. Um, and yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I ever really loved that episode. I think that's probably. Is it a C tier episode? I do like the whole him sleeping with Patrick stuff. But other than that, I don't really know that I love this episode. I'm gonna put it in C. I'll put it in C. I think it's probably one of the few episodes that I'm like, not that I'd skip necessarily, because again, with this, again, I want to make this clear. I am being maybe overly critical of these episodes because I love SpongeBob. I love the entire first season. A part of me could put every episode in S and A, S tier and A tier, but I don't want to do that because that'd be boring. So I'm being overly critical. That'd probably be the one that's on the bottom of the ladder for me. Pickles. Pickles is a classic episode. It's one where Bubble Bass comes in, makes SpongeBob. He basically breaks SpongeBob's brain, and he comes back. Still no pickles. Psych. All 4 pickles were under my tongue, and also some car keys and other stuff. That one's a good one. Probably. And I do like the whole like mind bend of just mentally psyching out SpongeBob. Twice, pretty much. Twice. But again, I don't think there's enough meat on the bones of this episode. So I think I'm going to throw this in B. Yeah. I was a teenage Gary. Let me look that up. I believe that's the episode where Pearl takes him to prom. I believe. Transforms into a snail. No, it was not. Transforms into a snail. That was a strange episode. Transform into a snail because he has Squidward watch Gary. Doesn't really do a good job. He gets sick. We get the snail juice. And something gets plucked into SpongeBob. It turns into a snail. Then somehow Squidward also gets it. Then we learn that all Gary needed was water, right? That's all he needed. Weird episode, definitely. I don't know that it's one that I really would go back to very often. And I honestly don't know that it's on the level of like a Suds or a Tea at the Tree Dome. But I don't think I like it on such a low level as Home Sweet Pineapple. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put it in C. It's probably not an episode that I would go back to very often in the grand scheme of the first season. Nature Pants. Nature Pants. Oof. Okay, so I'm putting in D. And so here's the reason. Nature Pants was always an episode that I didn't like as a kid. Like as a child, Nature Pants was always the one where I was like, oh, this episode. I don't know what about it I didn't like. It's just like it was just so weird, and like I know there's like multiple memes that have come out of this episode, so I know a lot of nostalgia there. But like for me, I was like, hey, he leaves and he goes to the jellyfish fields and he lives with the jellyfish, and like people don't really care that much, and like Patrick acts weird and like hunts him down, and then like Squidward just doesn't care, which I guess makes sense, but like I don't know, it's just like weird motivation. Like I don't know, it's not a bad episode. Again, I'm being very overly critical of these, but like I remember just as a kid, it was always one where I was like, oh, what else is on TV? You know what I mean? Like I just never really wanted to watch this episode. So we actually did fill out the tier. I didn't really expect to, honestly. Okay, jellyfishing. Which one was that? I feel like there's a couple that this could be. Is this the one where they show Squidward how to jellyfish? To Squidward jellyfishing. Okay, this is a classic episode. And he hurts himself, firmly grasp it. This is at least A. At least A. But is it more than A? I think there are some good moments. I'm gonna probably keep it at A, I think. Firmly grasp it really wants me to put it in S, but I think it's just shy. I think it's like high A. Hooky. Hooky, I think, is probably S tier for me. Them introducing that aspect to like, oh yeah, they're underwater, there's fish. So why not see what happens when they encounter a hook with bait on it? I think that's a really nice setup. And then the whole like how SpongeBob is in the middle of Patrick just being like, hey, it's fun, let's do it. Never gotten hurt yet. Let's get it. And then Mr. Krabs on the other side being like, don't mess with hooks. Like I've seen people get messed with hooks, they never come back, So I like that kind of struggle. The ending was really funny where he gets hooked and his pants and underwear get ripped off in front of Pearl and her friends. It's very, very slapstick sort of ending there. And then, yeah, it was good. It was good. I think it's S tier. It's one of those ones that I would definitely go back to. Jellyfish Jam. That is the one where it's one of those episodes of cartoons that spawn a food that you wish was real and you always want to try. Like Krabby Patties in themselves were always something where it's like the best burgers on the planet, right? So as a kid, it's like you want to try a Krabby Patty, but then SpongeBob puts jellyfish jelly on it, and you're like, oof, your mind gets blown, and it's like, is this a thing? Like, can I make this in real life? Is this good? In reality, jelly on a burger, probably not good, but you wanted it. And then like with like the blue jellyfish with the stalking, and Mr. Krabs gets all crazy about it. I'm going to put this in A tier. I think this is good. I think this is a good spot for it. Texas. Oh man, there's a lot of good episodes in this show. Texas. Texas is probably A tier for me. I almost hit back on accident. That would have sucked. Texas is probably A tier for me. I like Sandy in the episode's very good. I like them going through and kind of making fun of Texas and like that whole dynamic. It really is one of the few episodes. If we're just staying in the first season, like it's probably one of the few, if not the only episode in this entire first season where like SpongeBob is kind of like mean, and like you don't really see that in him so often. So like, that's why it is at least A tier for me, where, I love episodes that kind of go off script almost. And then like the connection that like Texas, how important Texas is in the show for some reason, because that's just what they decided. Like it's a real place. And then also the ending is really nice where it's like, hey, Texas is where you make it almost. And it's like, hey, we're your friends. Like you're going to Texas because you're homesick, but this is your home. Like you have everyone that loves you. And of course, like your family's in here, but like, I think SpongeBob's kind of reinforcing that idea that, yeah, like your family's not here, but like we all love you. And like, look at all the lengths we went to love you, basically, and then like the homesick song that she sings is great as well. So yeah, I think A tier is a good spot. Arg. I'm gonna look that one up real quick. I just want to confirm. I believe Arg is the one where they have the treasure map. Yeah, board game. Okay, so yeah, that's the episode where they play the board game, Flying Dutchman's board game. Mr. Krabs takes it way too seriously, uses it as a real treasure map. They find the treasure, and Flying Dutchman gives him his just dues, where he gives him a plastic chest, while he gives SpongeBob and Patrick each a gold doubloon. This episode probably also A tier for me. I think it honestly is A tier for the same reason that Suds and Texas are both A tier for me. They just don't have that little bit of extra something that make it S tier in my mind, but it's still incredible. Again, having Mr. Krabs be so involved in an episode is great. The Flying Dutchman, I don't know if this is the introduction of Flying Dutchman, but it's close, and that's a really cool character to introduce into this world. And then also the like sort of betrayal to then karma catching up to Mr. Krabs is great. So yeah, I think A tier. The paper is the one where SpongeBob has a little loose leaf piece of paper, and he basically plays with it, and it's incredible, right? It spins on his hand. It's a helicopter. Turns into like a Tarzan type character. Uses it with origami. He like drives it almost, I guess. He uses it as like a steering wheel, I think, and he drives an invisible car, I think. And so like Squidward thinks it's stupid, but as he sees the more and more stuff that goes along with it, he's like, that piece of paper is incredible. I need it. And he trades everything he owns for it. And he feels like an idiot because the paper doesn't work with him the same way it works with SpongeBob. This is probably, honestly, this one's tough because it's really not an episode I would go back to very often. It's not garbage, but it's just kind of like whatever episode for me. It's probably B or C. It's on the same level as Pickles, Walking Small. Honestly, I'm probably gonna put this with C. I'll put this with C. I think it's on the same level of episode where it's like I probably won't go back to it very often. Still good, but yeah. Sandy's Rocket. Sandy's Rocket's probably A tier for me. The whole idea of them going to outer space, meeting aliens, and them having an idea of what aliens are is very funny to me. And them thinking they're on the moon when they're still in Bikini Bottom, bagging everyone up. And then in the end, they bag everyone up and they actually go to the moon, but because they were flipped in the first place, now they think the moon is Bikini Bottom, and they're like, oh. Very good, very good. I like that. SB129, you already know that's an S tier episode. Them being in the future is a great gimmick. Him going to the future and then hating it because SpongeBob is there and there's so many other SpongeBobs is very funny. Them going to the past and seeing older or like caveman SpongeBob is very awesome. And then one of my favorite scenes in all of SpongeBob is when he goes to like between dimensions, and it's there's nothing there. There's like panels of light and color. The alone scene where it's like alone, 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 alone. That's very like existential. And then him breaking through, wanting to go back and realizing that he does really love where he's at. But SpongeBob and Patrick annoy him, but he really does love where he's at. Awesome. Sleepy Time. Honestly, another S tier episode for me. When he goes into other people's dreams, that's really nice. Kind of fleshing out some of the characters a little bit. Also being able to see different environments like that. Whenever there's dream episodes in cartoons, I think they're always unique because like the world of SpongeBob in itself is already unique, but then going into dreams, you got like the like book librarian Gary, who's like a mind wizard. You got the very funny Patrick one where he has nothing. You have like the crazy Moby Dick like thing with Mr. Krabs. Like it's cool. It's cool. Valentine's Day. Uh, honestly, this one might be D tier as well. It's not an episode that I really enjoy all that much. Like it's just like a lot of setup. Like there's a lot of setup and not too much jokes. Like there's not too much fun stuff happening for like most of the episode, only for it to not really pay off. And there's so much tension too, because like SpongeBob is not gonna be able to deliver that present, and Patrick's getting more and more antsy, and then Patrick freaks out over it, which is kind of weird and not really like it. And then it kind of works out in the end, and it's like, oh, cool, we love each other. It's like, so probably D tier. Pizza delivery, we already know, S tier, gotta be S tier. It's pizza delivery, First of all, making Krabby Patty into a pizza. That's another thing. Always wanted that as a kid. Them going off, him and Squidward going off. Many different environments. The sandstorm was cool. The song was cool. Krusty Krab pizza is pizza for you and me. Awesome. Then the ending where Squidward, one of the few times that Squidward really looks out for SpongeBob. He's like, what? He said what to you? No. And he just like throws the pizza in his face like, oh, yes. Deep down, Squidward does care about these people. Reef blower. You're playing with a reef blower. It's a good episode. It's a somewhat short episode though, I think. Oh no, I'm mixing stuff up. It's not. The reef blower. I mean, there's some really good moments. It is more of the classic side of it. I think that's an A tier. A tier. The reef blower is good. Them like sucking everything in. And then Squidward does eventually get hooked on it, and he goes crazy, and you see his hijinks. One of the few times again that you really see Squidward have fun. So yeah, I think that's there. Boating school. I don't remember which one this one is. Which boating school is this? Let's see. This is the one where he cheats. Okay. Where he cheats. Because he puts like the thing in his head. He can hear everything. Okay. That is speed tier. I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's a cool episode. I just don't think I like as much as the other ones. I mean, him again. Whenever characters act out of character, I think it can be really special. With like him cheating, not really knowing it's cheating. Patrick somehow being really good at boating is weird when you've never seen him drive once. So yeah, there's some really cool parts of it, but there's also some parts where it's like, again, on the same level as like a Squeaky Boots for me, right? Bubble stand gotta be S tier. The whole quarter thing, the technique, Patrick not being able to do it is really funny, and then Squidward kind of showing him how it's done, although he doesn't because he sucks, and then him having the crazy big bubble at the end. We got the elephant, but he calls it a giraffe. Classic stuff. Hall monitor. That one, I'm gonna go A tier with that. Very good episode. We got the anxiety-induced beginning where Mrs. Puff does not want to give him the hall monitor thing. Then she does, and then he turns into like a cop. I don't know why SpongeBob just thinks that he has now cop authority over Bikini Bottom, but he does. And then him turning into the criminal is just it's such a good twist. Karate choppers. I believe. I want to just double check this. Because I believe this is the one where Mr. Krabs tells him to not do it anymore. Yeah. Um, it's probably a B tier episode for me. Not a huge fan of it. Again, one of those ones where I just don't think there's enough meat on the bones for me. Where it's like it's cool because we have karate, we have all that. Mr. Krabs tells him to stop doing it because it's interfering with business. But then other than that, not really too much that happens. Just kind of like, oh, we got a karate again. So it's okay. It's right there in the middle for me. Scaredy Pants. Mm, probably go B tier as well for many of the same reasons. I just put Karate Choppers there, where it's cool. It's like a Halloween episode. It's SpongeBob wanting to be scary. We got more Flying Dutchmen, so there's some high points there, but some low points for me are just like, I don't know. It just kind of happens, Like there's no, mm, I don't know. There's just no real connection to a lot of the moments that happen in the show. It's just like, oh, it's Halloween, scary, and then he's got a brain, right? So it's cool. It's cool. Naughty Nautical Neighbors. This is going to be A tier for me, and I think what really brings it up from being a B episode is the fact that, again, characters acting almost out of character, where SpongeBob and Patrick don't like each other, and they get into an argument, and like Squidward being like the puppet master behind everything. I think that really pulls it all together for me. And then the end for them to rejoice over something so stupid, over them just like burping, like because of all the soda that they drank. You know what I mean? And Squidward being like, I should have seen this coming. So yeah, great episode there. Help Wanted. I feel like it's S tier, and part of me's putting it there because it's the first episode, right? Although it's not though. Isn't Bubble Stand technically the first episode? I think Bubble Stand aired first. It was right because I'm pretty sure Bubble Stand was the episode that aired after the Kids Choice Awards, which was like the preview of this brand new show. But I think Help Wanted technically is the first aired episode in the season. All that being said, Help Wanted is great, right? It's the introduction to him being at the Krusty Krab. It's a huge introduction to really the characters. You're kind of seeing some of the personality of Squidward and Mr. Krabs and how they're more adults, where they're more adults, where SpongeBob is more of a kid. But then you see like the perseverance of SpongeBob, like how he will find a way to do what he's supposed to do and like accomplish the task that he's set out to. And him wanting to be a fry cook is like what he wants, So, and then him kind of saving them from all the anchovies, which is really funny. Ripped Pants. Ripped Pants, probably A tier episode for me. I like the ending song was great, incredible. I think SpongeBob has some great songs, but also like the build up from trying to get out from under the imaginary shadow of Larry, only for him to go too far into a joke and then fall off immensely. Where it's like, no, you're taking this way too far, dude. Learn some new material. But then also the very end message that couples with the song, where it's like, hey, you don't have to do something special. Like, I'm your friend, Sandy. I am your friend. Culture shock. Let's see. This is the one where Pearl comes in and renovates the entire place, but it turns out that she never really wanted to, and she wants to be fired. She's been trying to be fired this whole time. And SpongeBob fake fires her, real fires her. I think B tier, and I think it's like low B tier too. I mean, there are some good moments though, like them getting the outfits, them coming up with the new name was really good. The kind of off balance that Pearl put SpongeBob on with this whole thing, and then kind of him being the in between with what Mr. Krabs wants, and what Pearl wants, and kind of both of their like two-faced nature about it, because they can't say what they really want to the other one because they don't want to hurt the other one's feelings. But like I said, it's not the kind of episode that really vibes with me. So it's more B tier than S or A. The chaperone. This is the one I was thinking of earlier, where he is the chaperone of Pearl. Um, this is this is tough. This is tough. This is tough. Probably a B tier episode, but I think this is more on the high B tier side. Um, just because there are some good moments with this too, where it's like the whole like weird mystery with SpongeBob. Just like they never explain why, but SpongeBob just has this clone of himself that he has. Never explained in the episode of like how he got it, why he developed it, why does he use it, what is he doing when the clone is him. It just isn't explained, but I kind of like it, you know. And then him also doing his very best. He's like, again, SpongeBob has a task to help someone, and he does it to the best of his ability, right? Where he learns everything, reads all the magazines, grows the flower that's gonna be on his tux. Like, he's all in it, you know. I mean, he doesn't want to be looked at as short. He doesn't want Pearl to, you know, he doesn't want to disappoint Pearl, so he builds legs. You know what I mean? Like he's really trying. And for him to be put down with Pearl, and then for him to be brought back up, and it's like, nah, we're in here. We don't care what anyone thinks. We're having a good time. Fools in April. April Fools. This was a tough episode for me because this is the one where SpongeBob or where Squidward goes too far on an April Fool's joke, and it's like, oh, Squidward, no, it's too much, because like SpongeBob was doing April Fool's stuff all the time, but it wasn't to that level. Like it was just annoying, where like Squidward really hurt, like both physically and like image, like people's perspective, where it's like, man, you really like humiliated him. Like there's a difference between like a fun April Fool's joke and like you like tearing someone down. Like that's not cool. All that being said, B. Opposite Day. This is a great episode. Opposite Day. Squidward basically invents this thing to make it so SpongeBob and then Patrick are quiet and they're not rambunctious and they're not flying off the handle because he's trying to sell his house, right? Flips on him when there's like, what's the opposite of SpongeBob? Squidward. So they all start acting like Squidward. All that being said, probably B tier. B tier, I'd say. It's solid. It's solid. Employee of the Month goes S tier for me because it's another one of those episodes where they kind of dig deep into the characters, and it's like this whole episode is just SpongeBob versus Squidward, and like they get really competitive with each other, and like they start to like scheme, and it's just like them versus each other. Like, oh, I'm gonna outlast you. Oh, I'm gonna sabotage you so that you fall asleep. Oh, I'm gonna destroy your clock so that you can't wake up on time. And then like it gets extreme where one is tied to a ship and one is tied to an anchor, and they're, you know what I mean? Like it. I really like that they turned them toward like against each other, and it's like this competition. Like they really made it a competition between who's Employee of the Month, something that does not matter, which is really the irony of it all, where Squidward is like, even the beginning of the episode, Squidward's like, dog, this badge of honor is not real. And SpongeBob's like, well then why haven't you won it? Muscle Bob Buff Pants. I think this is an A tier episode for me. I think, and it's fitting for me why like on the tier list it's sitting next to Rip Pants. I think it's an A tier episode for every reason that Rip Pants is an A tier episode. It's really fun. It's a ridiculous concept where you can put up inflatable arms. And he just gets strong, but then he goes too far with it. And it's like, ooh, but there's a real competition. And these things aren't real. So it's not going to work. It's really good, sort of learning a lesson, having fun along the way. Yeah, and that, my friends, is pretty much the tier list. I feel like this is pretty solid. I'm not really going to shuffle stuff around. But I feel like everything is kind of in its place. I like that we filled it out. Again, I was scared liking SpongeBob so much that everything would just be S and A and maybe B. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to fill it out. So we got them all. We got all the tiers filled. So just to go through it, I'll do it bottom to top. In the D tier, we got Nature Pants and Valentine's Day. In the C tier, we got Home Sweet Pineapple, I Was a Teenage Gary, The Paper. Um, B tier, which is more like the middle tier of like good episodes, but nothing too crazy. Walking Small, Squeaky Boots, Neptune Spatula, Bronco Boy 2, Pickles, Boating School, Karate Choppers, Scaredy Pants, Culture Shock, Chaperone, Fools in April, Opposite Day. Yeah, I mean, I feel like all those kind of meld well together. A tier, which is like incredible episodes, but not quite. The Golden Child, Suds, Arg, Unfriendly Ghost, Sandy's Rocket, Barnacle Boy, Reef Blower, Tea at the Tree Dome, Hall Monitor, Jellyfishing, Nautical Neighbors, Jellyfish Jam, Rip Pants, Texas, Muscle Bob. Yeah, I feel like those are all like A tier episodes where it's like, hey, I could recommend this episode to somebody and they'd be like, this is cool, this is nice. And the Golden Children up here, Plankton, Bubble Stand, Rock Bottom, Help Wanted, Fun, Employee of the Month, Hookie, SB129, Sleepy Time, Pizza Delivery. These are all the episodes where it's like, I could watch these anytime, have a good time. These are the episodes, like, A tier is like, you could recommend these to someone who doesn't know SpongeBob somehow, and they'd have a good idea. S tier is like, cream of the crop, you know? So, yeah, this is a pretty good, pretty solid tier list. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your opinions are. If you've done a tier list yourself, I'd love to see it. Let me know which parts you agree with. I'm sure everyone out there has a different tier list, from slightly different to radically different. So yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think. And if you want, I'll do season 2. Maybe I'll do other tier lists as well. And yeah, that is it. Until next time, make sure to watch more cartoons.